Hi everyone, this is Heverton Anunciação. I'm happy to be with you again this week. It will be my last talk of this year that we started 3 months ago, but we are bringing the founders, the main of areas that we involve customer service. Uh, I make some balance between English and Portuguese, but now you can activate the real-time translation from YouTube or your extension in Chrome. I create this Person of the Week magazine weekly to bring the history or background of important character of our sector in the Brazil, in the world. My guest of this week is Mikael Blaisdell. He lives in California, United States. He is director and analyst of his own company, Mikael Blaisdell and Associate, where for the last 30 years have been assisting a wide spectrum of the clients to enhance their sustainability, profitability, and customer retention rates by resolving customer relationship management issues. He is the founder of, how can I show you? He's a founder and executive director of the Customer Success Association, where he founded it in 2012 and have 40,000 members around the world. Let me bring him. Mikael Blaisdell, welcome for this talk.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it will be a pleasure to share about you because I found Customer Success Association 1 year or 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when I tried to understand more all methodology that is going on around the world, and then oh my God, there is association, there is a guy, there is a founder, so I have to study more about this in short long term. That's my reason I decide to I elect you to talk with you in proper time. Let me the first point. The Customer Success Association was created by you in 2012. Now it has 40,000 members around the world. The goal of the Customer Success Association is to provide access to the most relevant information about the developing profession. It means content, best practice, event, course, networking, research, reports, and a forum for online discussion in LinkedIn that I am there. We have 40,000 members. Michael, what was the moment of specific needs you decide to create association? Because most of the people has a pain or a moment. What was the eureka moment you decide?
Well, I had done consulting in customer support operations for software companies in the strategy, the process, the people, and the technology for 25 years. And when I encountered software as a service in 2006, and I realized that this changed things because the old organizational structure of a software company was built around the idea that you took the bulk of your profit up front at the moment the contract was signed from perpetual license fees. And yes, there was service and maintenance tacked onto that, but oftentimes, particularly for the first year on a big deal, the sales team would give away the service and support to get the license fees because that's where the money was. Well, along comes SaaS, and there is no more upfront license fees payment. We are now talking about a income stream over time for your profits. And that means that, if you consider the customer acquisition cost and figure that it will probably take you a year or two to recoup that cost, if the customer goes away in that time, what once looked like a very beautiful sale is instantly a dead loss. Exactly. And when I realized that, and realized over the years immediately following 2006 that all the SaaS companies were still competing with the on-premise perpetual license firms, they didn't realize the vital importance of retention. But once they had won their competition against the traditional model, and it was SaaS firm against SaaS firm, now all of a sudden people began to realize the sale is never final. It
Yeah,
has to keep going on, and you therefore cannot leave the burden of being successful with the product on the shoulders of the customer, because if they don't carry it well and they leave, you lose. So that moment of realization of the logic of this is why it has to change was when I started looking for, okay, how do I help my clients and other companies and the people of this new profession to get the word out that it's a whole new ball game.
exactly. I think that sometime you felt alone to start this by
Yes,
yourself.
yes, I did. I had a forum on LinkedIn called the SaaS and Support Forum to talk about the issues of customer support in the SaaS era, and there were about 350 members. And I had a thought for a while that maybe we could reinvent customer support and turn it into customer success. And
Right.
I was wrong. It doesn't work that way. The support mentality is too ingrained around break fix, and
Exactly.
success is not break fix, not at all. But yes, in the early years, I was the only one that was talking about a lot of these issues. And I felt like the small voice in the wilderness saying, "There's a better way."
for, for that reason, for me, it's important to keep this library in YouTube. The people who create things, who make, because okay, everybody now talking about customer success, but there is a background, there is a story, there is somebody's pain.
There is.
For that reason, for my first inviters that I bring here, there are most people who create things,
Yes.
concepts.
Yes. Well, it came from the logic.
Yeah,
Once you realize the change in the business model, in the essential business model of how you take profit over to income stream where retention is the absolute vital aspect, the rest of it falls into place. But it may take time for people to really realize that. I mean, I still go through this with venture capital people and with software designers who primarily are young, and
yeah,
they think that they are writing just the killer code that's going to be the absolute winner killer app. And you tell them, wait a minute, in the internet age, anything that's in your product, I can have in mine in a month. So there's no sustainable competitive advantage in features and functions. There is in design, but not in the actual features and functions because they're too easy to duplicate. So then I look at them and I really scare them by saying, it's not about the technology anymore. The product is a profitability relationship. You know how to sell features and functions. You're going to have to learn how to sell profitably a profitability relationship over time.
yeah. You are right. You are right. Now the second point, when I made some survey about you, I saw that in the year 2015 you did a research in LinkedIn and you posted and you found the the research you saw 570 vice president, 2,500 directors, and 18,000 managers.
Yes.
The number of open positions for customer success was just 64. Now
Yes.
I did this. I did today the same research. I updated your research. The link did today. There are 1 million position or subject around this. Vice president 96,000,
Yes.
director 507,000, manager 1 million, job opportunity 150,000 results.
Yes.
Just in Brazil, we have opportunity 41,000, manager 2,200, analyst 2,900, and job opportunity 54 job opportunity. In your opinion, what was the root cause of this growth? Is customer success getting mature or just a fashion?
Well, the real answer is yes, of course, all of the above. But what happened in the field, I was in a very unique position. As I mentioned, I started that forum on LinkedIn in 2009. Around 2012, we changed the name. It was now the Customer Success Forum, and refocused it on the new discipline, new profession. But because it was LinkedIn, and anytime someone wanted to join the forum, they had to tell me who they were, what their title was, and where they were, and what their company was. So I was in a very unique position to see the changes as they happened. And around 2012 is when the exponential growth took place. And there was a factor that I noticed. About 4 or 5 major venture capitalists that year, or thereabouts, made pronouncements that if you didn't have customer success or an obviously customer retention organization in your organizational chart for your company, they said, don't bother presenting to us because we're not going to fund you. And it didn't take long for that message to get out there that if you wanted the venture capitalists to pay attention to you, you better have a customer success group in your org chart. So voila, there were customer success groups all over. And it wasn't just the software firm, because I saw in the early days the healthcare people getting into it, the financial services, fleet management, any industry where there is a need. You have a complex product or a very powerful product, but when you can't leave the burden of being successful on the customer, there's customer success to come in and say, no, this is how you use this product to increase your profitability. But of course, to do that, there's several things that you have to have along with it. But 2012 was the beginning of the big explosion in customer success worldwide, and when it branched out beyond the software firms into dozens and dozens of vertical industries.
Yeah, I think that what the world got the conclusion in the last decade, we were good hunters, but not good in farms.
Yes.
We are not.
Yes,
We're not good in delivery. That's the conclusion. So for that reason, there's this explosion of this opportunity job that you bring for us, right?
Yes, and it's because farming is much more sustainable and much more predictable, and particularly the community really likes predictable firms where they know what's going to happen. They know that if they invest this much, that their return on investment will be that much. This is for them. But that's where this market is going, is the long-term, sustainable, proven profitability relationship.
Yeah. The next point, Michael. For me, my background is technical, but I'm not fell in love for programming language, a technology, whatever. I try to make a balance. Okay, I want to work more closely with the marketing, sales areas to open my mind, because I want to build a bridge among areas. Not to the customer is not just for marketing, not for sales. They belong for the company. All the company has to have the head roles when you work with a customer. But in the last decade, we saw in Brazil, in the world, new terms, new standard for CRM, ombudsman, customer experience, growth area, chief revenue officer, SDR, sales development representative, competitive intelligence, customer success. Most of these concepts were created by marketing, not for the academy or university. Or you have a background in sales or in software. Is there a future for a school or university to prepare real customer-focused professional in short long term? Because I think most of the student or professional, they are learning in company, not in the university. How to make the balance to prepare new professional to work with the think not just in delivery, but how to understand the customer.
Yes. Well, the universities are beginning to get involved, and this has been happening over the last couple of years. There's a guy at the University of Alabama, Brian Hochstein, that has been creating a program. There's Vijay Mehrotra at USF in San Francisco that has a certificate as part of their MBA program. The value of the university education for this is that it teaches you the logic, the business logic, and how to make a business case in dollars and cents to the senior management team, to the board of directors, to the investor community, to really quantify exactly the return on investment for customer success. And that's something that, we've had customer success. I mean, the first formal department was in '97. I mean, it really began to mushroom, as I said, about 2012. But these are all more tactical in the companies. The companies tend to be that way. Yes, they get into strategy, which is where you get that chief revenue officer sorts of positions. But a lot of it just grew. And it grew in response to the fact that it wasn't just retention, but it was also expansion. It was increased licenses. It was upsell. It was cross-sell. It was the realization. I mean, we have heard for many, many years that it costs you 5 times more to sell to a new customer than it does.
Yeah.
And it is true.
Yeah.
But the logic wasn't really tangible to the degree that it needed to be. It was just words. But when you can see it in your profitability stream and in your annual reports, then it becomes real.
Yeah. Yeah. One point that let me show you something here. Now imagine I am a businessman. I want to improve my customer relationship. I put my hat as I was a businessman, for example. So how as the university not prepare this professional, I think how to prepare businessmen to think in the customer in long term. As I'm a background of my technology side, so I think, okay, we have procedure about CRM and technology. We have to follow procedures, process, methodology.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, I tried to find all methodology involve the customer. And then I decided to write this book.
Okay.
You want to be a Disney, you want to be a Zappos, you want to be a COPC, you want to be a ISO 9000. And then I found many reds. And many of them, there is a process, they are long-term. Customer success is there. I put your website, all about our reference about you there, because for me it's important. Because if you follow the process, if you implement the process, but you don't measure the success, is not correct. So for me it's important you put there, because sometimes most of the people that come in for this sector, I want to, okay, there are many books, there are many where you can find. But, for example, how to start if you want to put CSA in your company? Because for now, okay, if you talk with a technology guy, they are going to put software. If you're going to put marketing, they are going market automation. If you are going to put sales, you are going to be SDR area. But if you talk with you in your experience, how to start a businessman to improve your relationship with the customer?
Well, I participated a number of years ago with a venture capital firm, and we did a research study, and we came up with a model. And the model was all about, it was a spreadsheet exercise. We imagined 2 companies. Both had the same cost structure, $100 a month per user for their software.
Okay.
And everything was exactly the same, except one company in our model had an 85% customer retention rate, and the other company had a 90% customer retention rate. And we ran the numbers. And at the end of 5 years of running, the fifth year of the model, the company with the higher retention was $15 million ahead of the company with the lower one. So when you get that realization, when you look at it in those terms, and that's how you teach about this. You talk about profits over time. When you make that case, they look at that and go, oh, I'd like to be with the $15 million company, which is great. So would I. Now, how do we get there? And then you start digging into it because, again, all the things we've already talked about, that the sale is never final, that the profits have to come over time. You keep asking yourself, what do I have to do to get that? And bit by bit, you'll put it in. You'll make the realization that good salespeople are hunters, and that's what you want them to do. Hey, Mr. Salespeople, you have sold this deal. Great. I'll take care of it from here on out. You guys go back out and hunt again, because that's what you like to do, and that's what you're best at. But I have to have a farmer team. And I tell my farmers, you take care of that customer, and you make sure that that customer profits. Because as long as they're making money, a lot of money with us, they're going to stay with us. And that's how you do it. All the rest will fall into place. You'll realize that you have to have customer intelligence. You have to have people, scanning what the customers are doing. You have to get more referrals. You have to study your customers to learn who's doing best practices with your software and teach it to everybody else. But all of those things that customer success people will naturally do as part of their jobs, it all flows from follow the money. At the end of the day, these are the things that you have to do to make the money.
Exactly. So don't matter what technology you use. You can use SAP, Salesforce, you can use Excel, but the main goal is to follow the numbers. Yes. And not just in perception of the sales, but the customer, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, I've been talking with customer success executives for years, and I said, the earlier you can get involved, the better. I call it the point of engagement. Now, it used to be, in the annual surveys that I do, I watch for this. It used to be most of the customer success teams got introduced to the customer after go live. About the same time they introduced support, here's your customer success people, they'll help you too. I told the execs, you've got to get in there earlier. You've got to be, and nowadays, almost all of them are involved at the point of sale. But a lot of them, most of them are involved even earlier. Sales engineering, for example, when you are showing the customer what this product could do for them, that needs to be customer success doing that. And the advantage is you learn a lot about the customer and what they want.
Yeah.
And you learn that customer. You don't have to rely on the sales team to tell you who's who in that company, that customer company, because you were there.
And with this approach you mentioned, to reduce customer support lately.
Yes.
Because you anticipate with this. Yeah, you are right.
You do, and even better, you get to the point where, and this goes back to your data, issue. You get to the point where you can spot a customer, a prospective customer, that's not a good fit for your company. And then you have two things, two possible conversations with the sales team. You can either say, this is not a good fit for us. This customer is going to churn and end up costing us money. We shouldn't do this deal. Or the other one is, as this deal is set up and as this customer is talking now, this is not a good deal for us. But if we improve it in these ways, then the customer does fit our model, and then it makes sense.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, you have to be involved early, and you have to have your data. You have to be able to say, Mr. Senior Executive Team, Mr. Sales Team, this is what a tier 1 customer looks like for us. And here's how much money we make from them. And if they don't fit, and here's how they look up the path to that. And if they don't fit that model, here's how much we potentially lose from that. If you have that data, those are easy conversations to have. If you don't have that data, you're toast. It's not going to work.
Exactly. If you could if you put a highlight one of the best return of investment that one of your customers have we implemented customer success, or one of a student you prepare with a customer or consultant, if you could highlight for us one case.
Well, actually, I did when I talked about the VC study that I did, where we modeled out what the difference was going to be. But you're into a whole host of issues that you have to examine, and they will vary widely between industry and industry and type of deal and type of deal. So you look at most companies in the SaaS space will have an estimate for what they call the customer acquisition cost.
Yeah.
It's usually not all that accurate. It's usually, not kept up to date, but they have a general idea. Okay, it cost us this much to get a customer. Well, something that the folks at one of the customer success management system vendors, Tatango, did was they proposed a customer retention cost, so that you say, okay, if you were willing to spend this much money to get that income stream, how much money should you be willing to pay to defend that income stream? And that's the basis for, of course, your budget for customer success.
Right. It's clear. It's very clear, right?
Yes. But again, you have to have the data, you have to do the work, and you have to test it. Because you constantly, there's issues you're constantly dealing with in customer success. How do I scale?
Yeah.
One of the big ones is okay, we are going to add 100 new customers next quarter. Well, if we add 100 new customers, what's the increased workload in the customer success group? How many new customer success people do we have to have? And then we're now talking more strategic questions like, do we have to handle human to human, or what can we automate so that it's done by technology? And all of that has to base on financial data. So as I've told customer success people for years, take your CFO to lunch. Learn how they talk and pitch your arguments to them, and let them go pitch the board, because they're much better at it than you are.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's make clear for me. So to put the mind of the people, yes, okay, how to invest to keep and save the money to not lose the customer. For me, very clear what you pointed for us. And the history of the customer success is starting in soft industry by CRM Vantive with John Longo and Mary Alexander.
Yes.
For example, I started with work with CRM in Brazil with Vantive software here. That after it was bought by Salesforce, People Software, and then Oracle bought everything.
Yes.
Is that possible? Is that possible to implement CS in any type of business or industry, or is there some limitation? You think it is open for everybody? Why that? Because, for example, software as a service, banking as a service, most of the marketers that I'm reading, they are saying that there is no product, everything service.
Yes, and I would tend to agree with that, because even the things that we thought would last a long time tend to be, and maybe they do last a long time, but still they wear out, and you have to replace them. I was talking that there was a company in the city I used to live in, right across from San Francisco, where it was a tire company, and I would go in there every few years and replace the tires on my car. And I got to know the owner. My father had introduced me to this guy because that's where he bought all his tires. So I was talking with him as they were changing the tires on my car. And I said, did you realize that you are selling tires as a service? And he stopped and looked at me, and I said, what percentage of your business is repeat business? And he said, oh, 90%. Yeah, we get new customers, but my customer base, every couple of years they come back in and say, are my tires okay? And sometimes I see if they're all right, say, no, you can go another year. Sometimes, no, you need to replace those these customers keep coming back.
Exactly.
His mother did. He says, yes, their fathers introduced them to their children too, and I get those customers. So, it's something may last a long time, but sooner or later it has to be replaced. And where are you going to replace it? You go back to the place where you bought it originally, where you had a good experience and there's a trusting relationship.
Yeah, right. In your experience, what is the main, what characteristics and profile for a good professional in CS? What the
skills
we point out?
Well, we have to divide it into two. We want to consider the customer success executives, the vice president, the director, the head of, the manager of customer success, the ones who run the team, versus the practitioners, which are the customer success managers, customer success directors. For the practitioners, the people who are going to work directly with the customer, the most important skill I think that they need is something I call domain expertise or subject matter expertise. And this was explained to me by an old computer salesman way at the beginning of my career. He said, if you are going to sell a computer system to a machine shop owner, you had better be able to put on a hard hat and a set of coveralls and go out on the shop floor and speak absolutely fluent machine shop. Because if you don't, he's going to think, this guy doesn't know my business. And you're never going to be a trusted advisor unless you speak the language of the business, unless you can be an advisor to say, I think we could improve your profits in this area if we made these changes in your operation. And if you have that kind of a relationship with your customer, you aren't selling anymore. It's being an advisor. You're saying, we need to increase over here. And the customer says, great, let's do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk them into it. Now, on the other side, on the executives, we'll probably get into this a little later. There is a big issue about compensation, and we can talk about that, later.
Yeah.
But for the customer success executive who runs the team, you have to be able to not only run a team to handle all the balancing of workload and all of that, you also have to understand the profitability relationship with your company.
Yeah.
You have to be able to say to the chief executive officer, we need to increase our staffing so much because of the new sales that you've sold so that we can maintain our level. You have to talk to the CFO. You have to present to the board to justify the investment they are making in your organization by the returns you're going to give them. So that when you say, I need technology to run my team, I need a customer success management system, you are able to make that case in financial terms.
Yeah. Michael, in one of your article, The Selling of Customer Success, you bring the question, should customer success team be paid commission for what they doing, their work? Yeah, and I complement. Everything got bonus in the end of the year. Sales team got the commission. Even the customer finished to use the product. Okay, they are selling but not deliver the product. And customer success could get commission maybe. However, many of other area responsible. However, many of other areas of the company fix the problem, deliver the product or the service that the company needs. What's your opinion about this? The best practice of the compensation, bonus, commission for executive, customer success, professional, sales, marketing, or no? The commission should be like at some restaurant, 10% for everybody.
Well, if the company as a whole does well, then all the people in the company should benefit. But the customer success and commission issue is the closest thing we have to a holy war in the customer success community worldwide. Everybody has an opinion, and the debate can get ferocious at times. On one hand, the people who say no commission ever will say that it compromises the role of the customer success manager, because instead of being focused on the customer's benefit, they're now out to earn a bigger commission. And there's truth in that. I have seen it work both ways. I will say that it needs to be handled very, very carefully if you're going to do an individual commission base. I think it's much more appropriate for the bonuses to be done on a team basis, because my preference is I want my customer success managers to be focused on making their customers as profitable as they possibly can. The team on the whole, now this gets into some of the other areas of, well, who was responsible for that benefit? Was it sales? Was it some other part of the company? In the organizational structure that I favor, you have marketing to bring leads in, you have sales to go out and find new customers, and the customer success, and then you have development, of course, in a software company to do the development of the products. The customer success handles everything else: renewals, upsells, cross-sells, support, training, professional services. And the reason I say this is all of those disciplines require the same kinds of knowledge. You have to know the product, and you have to know the customer, and you have to know the market. It doesn't make sense organizationally to duplicate those skills if you don't have to. Yeah. So I would say if you have the customer success organization all set up, you are going to have income from customizations and onboarding. You're going to have income from training, and then all the renewals, the upsells, cross-sells. And more we are seeing that customer success itself is being offered on a premium basis. And what they'll do, Salesforce began this some years ago, was if you are a top dollar customer, a tier 1 customer, you get a customer success manager bundled in with your subscription fees. Yeah. But that also means that the customers who are not at that level, not doing that much business with you, they also have the opportunity to get access to what a customer success manager can do. They just simply have to pay a separate charge for it. But if you go that route, you have to know exactly what you're offering and exactly what it's worth, and you have to be able to make that sale to the customer. Yeah. Because otherwise they're going to say, no, I'll take the subscription. I don't need a customer success manager. And then you've defeated your purpose. You've abandoned them.
Yeah. I was thinking that most of the company, sometimes they are acting like men. They try to buy flour and take the love for the restaurant just when they lost the lover, the girl. And how, in your opinion, where should be customer success? In the marketing, ombudsman, where you put the customer success area above to be independent or no?
I have been tracking this. I've been doing yearly surveys since 2009. And one of the questions I always ask is, who owns the customer success organization? And in my opinion, it needs to be a direct report to the CEO. It needs to be an independent organization. Now, a new variant on that has been usually in larger companies. There is a chief revenue officer, and the chief revenue officer owns the sales department and owns this combined customer success group. I'm okay with that, as long as the vice president of customer success is equal to the vice president of sales.
Yeah, to be neutral, right?
To be neutral, yes.
Otherwise, it is always good to say yes. Is danger when you have people just say yes, not bring problem, right? Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Right. I ask. It used to be, I track titles too. I talked to one individual who was the vice president of sales and success, and I looked at her and I said, at the end of the month, when quotas are due, which hat is on and which hat is off?
What
And she
happened?
said, it's a little difficult when we haven't made our quota quite yet. There's more tendency to put the sales hat on. Yes, but when you do that, you create problems in customer success, and those problems may last for years, or they might not. They might go away real quick and turn that pretty little quota-making sale that you did into a dead loss.
Good sample this that you provide. Ian Gold, I already interviewed him here in my channel. He was one responsible to create the Customer Experience Association of a professional around the world. He said to me about what the Fred Heichoud, the create NPS, said for him. Most of the people, they are using wrongly the NPS to long-term relationship. And once I heard in your interview, you said don't matter the tools, but we have and you said, okay, you have to track case interaction of the customer.
Yes.
How to inform this for the company? Okay, I probably I'm going to use NPS wrongly, but I have to track NPS. I have to track case interaction. How to start today customer success implementation?
Oh, it's NPS is a challenge, for a lot of people. It's become so popular that and people will say, oh, it's the answer to all of your troubles. If you just track NPS and you raise your NPS number up to a certain point, all your problems are over. I don't think so. In fact, I've never cared for NPS. I mean, in the times when I call in and I interact with a company and then I get this NPS survey to come back at me, I never, ever fill those out because I consider it's a waste of my time. I get nothing out of that. And I don't know how the company is going to use it, but first and foremost, I get nothing out of it. So I'm not going to bother with it. I recommend to people in customer success that our mission is to increase sustainable, proven profitability for both the customer and the company. And so you should be able to sit down with your customer and have a customer value review because you want your customer to tell you, oh, since I started using your product, my profits are up 30% over the last 2 quarters. You want to stress that because you're hoping that customer will say that to other people because there's a big difference. You're sitting around, we've all gone to professional conventions and we always talk shop and learn a lot. That's where you learn on those conventions, and I hope we get back to them soon. But what you want that customer to say around the bar at the end of the day when one of his colleagues said, gee, I'm really having a problem with this area of my business. You want that customer to say, I had a problem with that too. And then I got XYZ product and I don't have a problem anymore. My profits are up by this amount. You cannot buy that level of advertising. There's nothing more powerful than it. And that's what you want. So I track the money. I want my customer to tell me how much money they have made increase in sustainable profitability over the last quarter, year, and how much we are planning to jointly create in the next 6 months, quarter, whatever. And I want the same conversation with my own company. Here's how much money I made you, and here's how much money we're projected to make over the next quarters. It has to be based on the money. Everything else flows from that. Sure, there's a lot of metrics. We track cases, we track support data, we may track NPS. Those are useful lenses, like move the camera lens to look at different aspects of your business. But the bottom line is the money.
Yeah. I can understand that all your acknowledgement, if I put in the same table or in a meeting, you, on purpose, other guy of sales, other guy of the marketing is going to be a good shot. So for that reason that I'm building this partnership with you, people like you, because I hope next year maybe I'm going maybe in short long term try to bring your acknowledgement here for Brazil for virtual events or present or locally events to try to not to see the customer just one piece but all the holistic area.
Yes, yes. Well, the message is, and I tell the customer success people, your data is incredibly valuable. You want to go to the marketing people and say, wait a minute, that marketing campaign is going to attract not the kind of leads for us, but if we change it this way, then we'll increase the quality. But you have to have the data. And you say to the salespeople, this is what a prospective tier 1 customer looks like. Here's what they ask for. Here's what it really means. Here's their hot buttons. Here's how you close them. So that we're constantly spreading the knowledge of what we know about the customer throughout the organization so that we create better products and better services and better relationships, and we don't lose as many.
Yeah. And as your association has 40,000 members around the world, what was the most funny or distant place that people tried to find you and found you and said, oh my God, I didn't know that it happened. I just focus in sales, marketing, but not deliver, campaign the delivery or what, something like that.
I get inquiries from all over the world, people in Africa, Nigeria, the Ivory Coast, Liberia, throughout the Arab world, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. And with some of them, we sort of, I'll do sessions like this with them where they'll have specific questions. We have fun with language. I speak basically English, and I have a few words in a couple of other languages. Most of them speak better English than I do their language, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. But we are able to stumble about with this, but get the basic, ideas. And of course, the automatic translators have been a godsend for that sort of thing. So I can send somebody, okay, this article is in English. Hopefully, run it through your translator and then come back to me if anything looks really strange, because of course, when you do automatic translations, you can end up with some very amazing translations that have very little relationship with what the speaker originally said.
Yeah. Next year, for example, I'm creating here in Brazil now, but now because this COVID-19 stopped, but I hope next year or in the long term to implement here in Brazil the customer university, university of the customer, something like that, and bring talks like you, like other people, all to put together to debate and maybe prepare for business people or technology guy how to think all the foundation of a relationship.
Yes.
So okay, I'm going to start in sales, marketing, technology, and start again, not just in focus, because now technology, there is new concept, the guy, there is a DevOps, a program that do everything, analyst DevOps that do everything. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's the good the good path, but as you said, you met a guy, he uses sales and customer success, and sometimes you have to be a neutral. So
yes,
I want to bring acknowledgement like yours here.
Yes, I did customer success con events, and I started them in 2013. And I began with San Francisco and Boston and London because, of course, with my position running the forum on LinkedIn, I knew where the greatest concentrations of customer success people were. And so we did it in those cities. And then I added Seattle and I added Denver, and we limited it to 100 no more than 100 people per event. And what I really wanted to do, I kept the sessions short so that we'd get into some good stuff, and then gave people lots of free time, because my own professional experience has been over the many years that you learn the most at a conference when you sit down one-on-one with somebody and ask questions, or you're in a small group around the bar and somebody says something, and all of a sudden you learn something that pays for that conference and all your expenses and many times over.
Yeah.
It's typically not in the actual sessions where you get the best information. It's those one-on-one conversations, and
Yeah.
we can't do those right now because of the pandemic. But I hope we can get back to them,
Yeah.
because
I
I have
want I
lots.
want to yeah, I want to plan this event, hire other people like you, and bringing your knowledge here for Brazil or virtually. But it's my one of my dreams to 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 understand in the root of the knowledge, not in the high. Okay, because you bring the background, your expertise. To attend other company, and then I hope it will be good for South America and for Brazil.
Oh, I hope so
And
too.
yeah, and now that we are, I put here everybody the contact of a customer success association in the bottom up in my to contact if you want to contact or contract Mikael Blaisdell to know more about the association, to be part of this movement, this association. I invite you to know there are a lot of things in the group of LinkedIn that they are sharing that you have to learn to bring your association in Brazil if you need. But I have one last question for you, Michael. Is if God would hire you today for our last mission, what mission would you like to embrace?
Oh, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. Um, Really, I think to build up and improve the individual practitioners, the customer success managers who deal with the customers, to realize that their work is vital. Their work is vital not only to their own companies, but their work is vital to the customer, for the customer to get the maximum value and to prosper. You know, we were talking earlier about winning. True winning is when both sides benefit and continue to benefit, because that way the relationship stays together. If it gets out of balance, there's a tendency, out of balance relationships don't stay together.
Yeah,
And we are about relationship. And it's very
yeah,
hard sometimes to get people to realize that, yes, you're selling software, but that's just the table stakes to get into the game.
yeah.
The real product is the relationship over time.
Yeah, and one thing that I like you in your profile is because you when you say something in YouTube in other video, you put it a very calm way. You say, okay, I want to do this, but you have to think in the money. You have to return the money. So you're very calm without no. It's very common. You say no hesitation. It's very calm for people who want to understand this. Don't matter the tools, don't matter the process, but you have to work and to use your data in,
Yes.
in in your side, not against you, but in favor in yourself. It's very good. I like this in your profile. It's kind of consultant you are. I'd
Mhm.
like to thank everybody to invest your time watching here. Around 400 people is going to watch this video during this week. I invite you for the next guest will be Bill Hyman from US. He was the creator of the data warehouse concept. You cannot apply a data science if you don't have a good data warehouse. So
Mhm.
he's going to my guest invite. Sorry, my next guest for January 7th. Michael, I wish Merry Christmas for you, for your family.
And to you.
Okay. I hope you could work together next year after this COVID-19. God bless you and your family, or your health and your project. And if you need something from Brazil, please contact me.
I shall. Thank you very much.
Okay, and congratulations for your association. I hope to work together with you in long term.
I do too. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Everybody, I want to thank you. Muito obrigado por vocês que participaram da aula até agora. Espero vocês dia 7 de janeiro com Bill Wyman, ok? Muito obrigado, Feliz Natal para vocês e até lá.